God says, "Beloved soul, listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not meant to disturb you, and it is not meant to create fear. It is meant to bring understanding." There are truths in life that remain hidden not because they are dangerous, but because they require maturity of heart to receive. The day you were born carried more meaning than you were ever told, and not because anyone intended to hide something from you, but because heaven often protects sacred truths until the soul is ready to recognize them. God says, "The day you entered this world was not ordinary. It was not random. It was not simply another date on a calendar. Something aligned that day in ways your family could not see and could not explain. Your mother carried you with love, with hope, and with her own silent prayers, but there were things happening beyond her awareness. Heaven was involved long before your first breath, arranging timing, circumstance, and purpose with care. Beloved soul, there are moments in life when we assume our story began with what we remember. But God says, your story began before memory, before words, before understanding. The emotions surrounding your birth, the environment you entered, the season you arrived in, all carried quiet meaning. Heaven was already aware of the strength your life would require, the compassion you would develop, and the sensitivity your heart would carry. That is why your beginning was marked with intention. God says, your mother knew you were special, even if she could not explain why. There are instincts placed within a parent that come from love, not knowledge. She felt something about you that words could not capture. But the deeper truth was not meant to be spoken then. It was meant to be discovered later, when you would have the awareness to understand it without confusion. Beloved soul, the hidden truth about your birth is not something to mourn or question. It is something to honor. You were born with an awareness that made you feel different at times. You noticed things others overlooked. You felt deeply, even when it cost you. You sensed emotions in rooms before anyone spoke. These were not accidents. These were reflections of the way your soul was formed. God says, some people are born to blend in, and some are born to feel deeply. You were not created to rush through life unaware. You were created with perception, empathy, and reflection. That is why certain experiences affected you more than others. That is why you questioned things earlier. That is why silence spoke loudly to you. This was written into your beginning. Right now, Archangel Michael stands quietly as a witness to this truth. Not to announce it with drama, not to reveal it with urgency, but to gently confirm it. He understands that awareness must arrive with peace, not shock. His presence is calm because this truth is meant to settle into your heart naturally, not disrupt it. God says, you may have spent years wondering why you felt slightly out of place, why you carried a sense of responsibility early, or why your heart matured faster than your circumstances. This was not because something was missing. It was because something was present. You were born with depth, and depth requires time to understand itself. Beloved soul, the day you were born carried a quiet assignment. Not a burden, not a demand, but a direction. You were meant to grow into understanding, not be rushed into it. That is why your journey unfolded slowly. That is why lessons repeated. That is why patience was required of you. Heaven was allowing your awareness to grow alongside your experiences. God says, your mother gave you life, but heaven shaped your spirit. Both worked together, even without knowing it. There were protections placed around you that you did not see. There were delays that guarded you. There were redirections that saved you from paths you were not meant to walk. These were not coincidences. They were part of the design that began the day you were born. Beloved soul, this hidden truth is not about secrets kept from you. It is about meaning revealed to you now. You are old enough in spirit to understand why your life required sensitivity, why your heart could not harden like others, and why your conscience guided you even when it was uncomfortable. These qualities were planted early. They were never meant to be taken from you. God says, awareness is arriving now because you are ready to carry it without losing balance. You no longer need to question your differences. You no longer need to explain your depth. You no longer need to apologize for feeling deeply. This truth does not isolate you, it grounds you. It allows you to accept yourself with compassion rather than confusion. Beloved soul, the reason this message connects with you is because your spirit remembers what your mind could not. Something within you recognizes this truth not as new information, but as confirmation. Confirmation that you were never strange, never misplaced, never broken. You were simply aware in a world that often moves too fast to notice itself. God says, let this understanding bring peace, not questions. Let it bring acceptance, not overthinking. You do not need to search your past for answers. The answers live in how you respond to the present. You were born with the ability to reflect, to feel, and to choose consciously. That is your gift. Archangel Michael remains present, not guiding you forward aggressively, but ensuring that this awareness integrates gently. He knows that when understanding arrives without fear, it becomes wisdom. And wisdom allows you to move forward without pressure. Beloved soul, you are not here to relive the day you were born. You are here to live from what it gave you. Sensitivity, depth, awareness, compassion. These are not weaknesses. They are foundations. They shape the way you love, the way you choose, and the way you grow. God says, this truth was hidden until now because now is when it can bring peace instead of confusion. You are no longer searching for identity. You are recognizing it. And recognition brings rest. Stay with this understanding. Let it settle. Your beginning was intentional, and your presence now is meaningful. You are exactly where you are meant to be. God says, beloved soul, now that you have heard the truth about the day you were born, I want you to go deeper into its meaning, not with your mind alone, but with your heart. Some truths are not meant to be analyzed, they are meant to be recognized. The reason this message feels personal is because it connects to something you have always sensed but never fully understood. Your beginning was quiet, but it was intentional. And intention leaves marks that time cannot erase. God says, from a very early age, you felt things more strongly than others. You noticed shifts in people's moods. You sensed when something was unspoken. You carried questions that did not have simple answers. This was not because you were fragile. It was because you were perceptive. Heaven placed within you an awareness that would later become wisdom. But awareness always comes before understanding, and understanding always takes time. Beloved soul, there were moments when you wondered why life affected you so deeply, why certain words stayed with you longer, why certain experiences shaped you more intensely. You may have even wished at times that you could be less sensitive, less thoughtful, less aware. But God says, what you called sensitivity was actually discernment forming. It was the early shaping of a heart designed to understand meaning beneath appearances. God says, the day you were born carried a spiritual atmosphere that quietly influenced your nature. You were not meant to rush through life untouched. You were meant to feel, to reflect, and to grow through awareness. This is why your journey required patience. This is why shortcuts never satisfied you. This is why surface-level answers never felt complete. You were designed for depth, and depth always asks for time. Beloved soul, there were seasons when you felt different from those around you, not better, not worse, just different. You observed more than you spoke. You felt more than you showed. You questioned things others accepted easily. This was not rebellion. This was alignment with truth. Your spirit was never comfortable pretending. It wanted what was real, even if real took longer to find. God says, your mother gave you life with love, but heaven placed within you a layer of awareness that would unfold slowly. Not all gifts arrive fully formed. Some are revealed gradually so they do not overwhelm the heart. You were given a gift that required maturity to understand. That is why it remained unspoken. Not hidden in secrecy, but protected in timing. Right now, Archangel Michael stands as a gentle witness to this unfolding awareness. He does not come with urgency or command. He comes with calm confirmation. He understands that realization must arrive softly, like dawn, not suddenly like lightning. His presence reassures you that nothing about your journey was misplaced. God says, you may now see your past differently. The moments that once confused you begin to make sense. The struggles that once felt unnecessary reveal their purpose. You were learning boundaries. You were learning empathy. You were learning how to listen inwardly. These lessons could not have been rushed. They required experience, reflection, and time. Beloved soul, the meaning behind your birth is not tied to expectations placed upon you by others. It is tied to the inner compass you carry. That compass guided you even when you felt lost. It nudged you away from paths that did not feel right. It kept you questioning when silence would have been easier. This was not restlessness. This was integrity forming. God says, your life was never meant to follow a straight line. It was meant to teach you awareness at every turn. That is why detours appeared. That is why endings came unexpectedly. That is why you often felt like you were starting again. Each restart refined your understanding. Each pause deepened your clarity. Each change shaped your discernment. Beloved soul, there is nothing wrong with you for needing meaning. There is nothing wrong with you for wanting depth. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling things intensely. These qualities were present from the beginning. They were part of the truth of your birth. You were not created to skim the surface of life. You were created to understand it. God says, awareness is now meeting acceptance within you. You no longer fight your nature. You no longer question your depth. You begin to see it as a strength rather than a burden. This acceptance brings peace. And peace allows you to move forward without resisting who you are. Beloved soul, the reason this understanding arrives now is because you are ready to integrate it without confusion. You are no longer searching for approval. You are no longer afraid of standing apart. You are learning to trust your inner knowing. This trust is the natural result of everything you have lived through. God says, let this truth settle gently. It does not demand action. It invites understanding. You do not need to explain your journey to anyone. You do not need to justify your pace. Your life makes sense within the context of who you were born to be. Archangel Michael remains near, not directing you outward, but guarding your inner clarity. He understands that when awareness stabilizes, direction becomes natural. You do not need to rush ahead. You only need to remain present. Beloved soul, the truth about your birth was never meant to change your past. It was meant to bring peace to your present and clarity to your future. You are not discovering something new about yourself. You are remembering something true. Stay with this understanding. More will unfold naturally. God says, beloved soul, now that you have begun to understand the meaning behind your beginning, I want you to recognize what that awareness is slowly turning into. Awareness does not exist on its own. It grows into direction. It becomes purpose. It shapes the way you see yourself and the way you move through the world. You are not just remembering something about who you were when you were born, you are awakening to who you have been becoming all along. This realization is not meant to rush you. It is meant to steady you. God says, there was a reason your heart learned reflection before action and understanding before certainty. You were being shaped to live consciously, not impulsively. While others moved quickly, you paused. While others accepted easy answers, you searched for meaning. This was not delay. This was formation. You were learning how to listen inwardly before you were asked to choose outwardly. Beloved soul, the truth about your birth did not place expectations on you, it placed awareness within you. Awareness of emotion. Awareness of consequence. Awareness of connection. You were not meant to live disconnected from yourself. That is why life kept guiding you back inward whenever you strayed too far from who you truly were. You may have thought those moments were setbacks, but they were corrections guided by care. God says, as this awareness matures, you begin to notice how your choices change. You no longer chase what feels empty. You no longer stay where your spirit feels unseen. You no longer measure your worth by how much noise you make. You choose depth over display. You choose meaning over speed. This is not withdrawal. This is wisdom taking shape. Right now, Archangel Michael stands quietly as a witness to this awakening. He is not urging you forward, and he is not holding you back. He is simply guarding the clarity that is forming within you. He understands that when a person awakens to purpose, the greatest protection is peace, not pressure. God says, your purpose is not something you must search for far away. It has been woven into the way you perceive life. It shows itself in your empathy, in your patience, in your ability to see beneath the surface. Purpose is not always a role or a title. Sometimes it is the way you bring calm into chaos, understanding into confusion, and honesty into spaces that avoid it. Beloved soul, you may have wondered why you were often placed in situations that required emotional strength, listening, or understanding. It was not because you were meant to carry others endlessly. It was because you were learning discernment. Learning when to give. Learning when to step back. Learning how to remain yourself without absorbing everything around you. This discernment is now becoming clear. God says, awakening is not dramatic. It is quiet recognition. It is the moment you stop fighting who you are and start honoring it. You no longer ask why you feel deeply, you understand that depth is part of your design. You no longer apologize for needing meaning, you see that meaning is what grounds you. Beloved soul, purpose also brings responsibility, not to perform, but to remain aligned. You are not meant to live exhausted. You are not meant to live scattered. You are meant to live aware. That awareness will guide your boundaries, your pace, and your choices. This is why your journey taught you patience before momentum. God says, some people discover purpose through action, others discover it through understanding. You belong to the second path. And that path requires time. It requires reflection. It requires inner honesty. You have walked it faithfully, even when you did not realize it. Beloved soul, there may still be moments when uncertainty appears. Awakening does not erase questions. It changes how you hold them. You no longer panic when you do not know the next step. You trust that clarity will arrive as you remain present. This trust is the result of everything you have lived through. God says, purpose does not ask you to become someone else. It asks you to become more fully yourself. That is what is happening now. You are not adding layers, you are releasing them. You are letting go of expectations that never belonged to you. You are honoring the truth that has always lived within you. Archangel Michael remains near, not intervening, but ensuring that your awakening remains gentle and grounded. He understands that purpose revealed without peace becomes pressure. Purpose revealed with peace becomes direction. Beloved soul, the reason this message continues to hold you is because it speaks to something real within you. You are not being told who to be. You are being reminded of who you already are. This remembrance brings calm. Calm brings clarity. Clarity brings movement that does no exhaust you. God says, allow this awakening to settle naturally. Do not rush to define it. Do not force it into a shape. Let it guide you quietly. Your life will respond in time. Conversations will change. Choices will feel clearer. Paths will align without struggle. Beloved soul, the truth of your birth prepared you for awareness. Awareness prepared you for awakening. Awakening is preparing you for a life lived with intention rather than reaction. This is the flow you are now entering. Stay present. There is still more to unfold. If this message touched your heart, type Amen and receive it with faith. Stay connected, more messages meant for your journey are coming.